have that, you got to fix it right away. If it drags on, um, you think it would go away, but sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Okay, I think it's about time. Well, is it time? Looks like the clock has a 30-second. Okay, ready? First exercise. Turning 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and stop. Okay, to the side. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and stop. Okay. Hands up. Reach down. 1, 2, 3. To your right. 2, 3. To your left. 2, 3. Center. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, hands up. Reach down. 1, 2, 3. To your right. 2, 3. To your left. 2, 3. Center. Inhale. Exhale. Hands up. Reach down. 1, 2, 3. To your right. 2, 3. To your left. 2, 3. Center. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, hands in your waist, rotating. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2. Reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2. Center, cross, knees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, and stop. Reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, and stop. Okay? Hands on your waist, neck turning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2. Back and forth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2. Center. Tilt to the side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2. Center, down, rotating. 1, 2, 3. Reverse. 1, 2, 3. Center. Pull in, inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Okay, spread your feet. Turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, and stop. Okay, stretch it out. Switch. 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 Straighten the front knee. Switch. 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 Center. Spread your feet. So you can feel it in the inner thighs, the stretch. Yeah. So when I go from side to side, stretching could be static or it could be just like letting it go. But when you move from side to side, the musculature kind of has to develop that. So actually you're working the muscle, but it's really allowing for relaxation on one hand, and the other side is working to. So it's actually kind of strengthening the movement too. So it just really works way up in the hip, up in here, up in the groin area, and that's where people get very tight. In fact, most people don't like to do this because it hurts. Pardon me? Yeah, so you have to just control it. But this is controlled. You're not dropping into it. You're just kind of regulating the motion. Because, even though it's called stretching, it's really letting go and releasing. But there's a balance between the two. So you can feel that you're working the inner thigh, and it gets easier, Yeah, so you just have to, yeah, because that's the side that probably, yeah. So you build off of that. It's just time, and a function of time, and doing it, I was saying yesterday jokingly, but it's true. Whatever you learn, my teacher would say, you don't know it don't know you. Like a form, you start it and you leave it, you start it, you leave it, and it's gone as fast as you got it. So anyways, shoulder roll. And reverse. And sana. Okay, press, release. Exhale, inhale. Breathe through your nose, tongue touches the roof of your mouth. And stop. Hands up, inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, and exhale. Okay, wrists. reverse, and center. Okay, palms down, bigger circle. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and stop. Okay, shake it out. Let's balance and shift the weight. First shifting. And then lift. And center. Okay, shake it out. Okay, let's get the legs growing. Swing. And center. Switch. And center. Okay, side to side. Switch. And center. Okay, shake it out. Deep breathing. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, still curling. Okay, switch the other side. And center. Okay, open and close. Switch. And center. Okay. Circular movements. Okay, lower hoop. Shoulder height. Elbows down. Palms down. Extend. Okay, deep breathing. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, diagonal flying. Switch. Okay, center. Cloud hands. Okay, palms down. Lift up, carry tiger to the mountain. Okay, infinity sign. Okay, form the fist. And Sada. Okay, palms together, strum the lute. Turn, draw the bow. Okay, fan to the back. Okay, raise the hand. Okay, palms down. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, we'll go through the sequence first. Okay, feet parallel, preparation, and begin. Brush knee 4 times. Strum the lute. Close the door. Form the fists. Divert, block, and punch. Leopard and tiger springs to mountain. Okay, neutral position. Fist under elbow. Repulse the monkey. Neutral position, diagonal flying. Insert the needle. Fan to the back. Turn. Parry and punch. Step forward. Punch. Divert, block, and punch. Leopard and tiger springs to mountain. Carry tiger to the mountain. Cross hands. Bend from the waist. Turn. The left side, grasp the sparrow's tail. Left side, single whip. Hold the ball. Reverse. Diagonal flying. Sit back. Stroke down. Part the horse's mane. Step up. Stroke down. Part the horse's mane. Sit back. Cross corner. Jade Lady work shuttle. Cross corner. Drop your elbow, hook your wrist, turn to the front. Cloud hands. And close. And press down. Okay, deep breathing. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, so we can go work on a few pieces inside the Tai Chi Paradigm form for the next 15 minutes on that, and then we can move on to the long form. But so there any section you want to review or sort of drill on? Jade Ladies work shuttle or form the fist, or any of those? Jade Lady work shuttle? This exercise? Yeah. So you're rolling your wrist like this, so it stays out here. Now, because it's changing dimension, so it turns inward first, and then the elbows drop. You form the fist and you draw back, and you punch. And then just sort of drop the elbow again, so you're sort of sinking the elbow to get it back to vertical while you're making and clenching your fists. And then the drawback and the punch becomes part of your transition eventually. So in other words, when you're in the position like this and you divert, block, right, then you're going to set up and punch. So once you've preset your fists and you start to turn your hand to create the blocking motion, then you're forming the fists and then you're moving like this. So the hand, because we're dealing with space, we're dealing with forward and backward, right and left, you have to capture the sort of the volume of movement and the directional changes. So if I go to the right or left like this, there's a little bit of twisting and turning of the body. So the twisting and turning of the body becomes part of the drawback and this motion. So they're building an integration. So there's an efficiency of motion there. Because once you divert and block and you punch and you reset, you're really maintaining your defensive posture and also controlling, whatever you're attaching to. So on the functional side, you're actually diverting or intercepting, moving it to the side. So the figure eight is actually right and left. You're moving it this way, and then you're moving it this way, or you're moving it this way. So it's just depends on where you start. If I intercept here, I can move it this way. If I start here, then I can turn it this way, right? So if I take my hand and I punch, I don't want to leave this hand out like that. So there's a give and take. Because my hands are like this, I can strum the lute. If I punch, then that side comes back, and then it goes back to the original position. So there's some relationship of the shoulders in a forward-backward dimension. Then you have the turning of the shoulders, which is really turning of the lower back. The lower area here. You're turning your back. Okay, so when you're turning, that creates part of the motion. And that's something that evolves over time when your body starts to sync up. When the hands go back and forth, there's a give and a take, right? So that give and take becomes a relationship. So you're not just blocking and then punching. That's broken. It's very slow. It's inefficient, and it's it's not practical. So when we're doing movements, we bring in the practicality of motion because it becomes efficient, right? It becomes efficient, so it makes it faster in one sense, but then, it's more effective too because it's efficient. Yeah. It's like sawing, right? If you're holding a saw, you lean into it and you draw back and you lean it. You can do it like this with a saw, but it doesn't go anywhere. When you go like this with a saw and you go forward and you bring some weight into that front leg, you're actually putting pressure on the blades. When you put pressure on the blades, it allows the force to go down with gravity, and the edges of those little teeth are actually doing the shearing. And then if you sink and draw back, you actually cut on the backstroke too. So that's a functional motion. So the reason you shift weight and like that is to capitalize on efficiency of motion. But at the same token, if you just put the saw there and started moving the saw and it wasn't clamped down on something, then nothing's going to happen. So how do you clamp down on it without a clamp? You hold it, and then you go forward and back, and you go forward and back. Like you're cutting a loaf of bread. Try cutting a piece of bread like that, or a loaf of bread with one hand. It never happened, right? Yeah, the bread kind of will jostle around, and you get nothing to happen because there's no relationship between your knife and your piece of bread. So that just shows you that everything that we do has functionality, and there's a method, and the method is what we're trying to do in sort of this virtual form, right? So you can see when you divert and you punch, this hand that's holding that loaf of bread is what's controlling your opponent's arm or your opponent's body based on the tangibility of that motion. What are you doing with this while this is happening?
This hand,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes is it down here, sometimes it's up here, punching.
It just stays in your neutral position.
Oh, in the neutral.
And yeah. Now, when we look at the hand, we have to look at the arm. Because remember I said before that the hand means the arm and the feet mean the legs. So while the hand is here, which is in front of you, it's on your center line, and you're going forward and back, it's really your arm that's in this position. It so happens your arm is about the length of your torso, right? Just about, give or take. So because it's in front of your torso, that's your blocking apparatus. That's the piece that you're using to be functional on one side. So if you look in the mirror, it's really in this space, right? So if I go from this shoulder to this shoulder, I crossed over and you see the oblique line. If I go to this vertical position and I go to this vertical position, you see the lines that go forward. That's a square line. If I bring this hand to this shoulder and I bring this hand to this shoulder, you have a cross hand position or cross arm position. And you spread and you push. Right? So leopard and tiger springs to mount, or forming the fist and punch. After you punch or after you divert, block and punch, doesn't really matter. When you bring this hand out, you actually end up wrapping around this arm and then sliding this arm down a bit, so you're in an even cross hand position to open and push. Now the fact that you open, what?
But sometimes I think I see your torso twisting a little bit, and then when you come back with a push,
Uh-huh.
you're going
Uh-huh.
straight forward.
Okay. So that's a good observation. Yeah. Yeah. So
Which way? Sometimes I get
the fact that you twist and you see the turn is a better way. It's a better way because now you're creating a motion. This is kind of isolated, right? And you rely on two hands doing that. So that becomes double weighted. They're both doing the same thing, which is actually how we like to do things. But because the hand is out here, and I'm using this hand as either interception or a sliding away, if I turn my body, I created a motion, and then because I'm here, now I reset and turn the body so it ends up like that. So this is like removing or wiping, right? So so it becomes a function of something else. In other words, if something's here and I want to remove it, I have an option of just doing this or doing this. But that's still too physical because you're relying on only your arm. So the only thing that moves other than these two things is your back, your spine. So if I'm moving my back and I go like this, then when I go like this, I create a push. Now if you look at that same motion and I go like this, actually this is the side that's pushing. This side is just going for the ride. It's on the same journey. It's just here. So when I go like this, really I'm resetting to a square. So one becomes active, one becomes passive. So a passive active movement becomes, now this was action, turning. Now it becomes inactive because it's there. So there's stillness. Now there's action. Now there's stillness. There's action here, but it's a function of something else. I drew back. Now I'm going to go forward. I push. And the other hand joins it as an action to, become that relationship or supplement. So if I took someone's arm and I came like this and I used this hand actually became part of the redirection of the force or the control of that motion. Because the fact that I go like this and I turn like this, you see motion. You didn't see the motion if you didn't see the intent. So you just see this and that. So you see A and B. But between here and here, so this becomes linear as a direction. This becomes a supplement to that, which becomes a diversion. So you can see that movements create actions that are camouflaged within the posture, and it's really body mechanics and directional changes. And it's why is it important to see that?
Yeah, why is it important to see which one is passive, which one is...
Because Okay, I'll use your arm for an instance, right? So if I had your arm like this, and I'm here, and I drew back like this, you see when I'm drawing back,
Yeah.
I'm pulling this away, and then when I turn, that moved it that way. And if I continue to push and turn, then it continues to lead that away. Now that's happening slowly, so it's like this, right? So I'm here. This becomes a different action because now it's accelerating. So, and the fact that you have this, there's continuity there, and staying with that is control. But you can't stay with that unless it's soft enough to adhere. It's called adhering. Like you're doing what you do with doing pushing hands. You're learning to adhere, to stick and to stay. You can only stick and stay if it's soft. You know, try to stick something on the mirror. If it's kind of hard, it doesn't really stick. So when they make a suction cup, they don't make a suction cup out of a flat piece of something that's round. They make it soft so when you press on it, it pushes the air out of it, and then it creates suction because there's kind of this atmospheric pressure that causes it to what? So that's how everything kind of works. So yeah, so that's how we draw these analogies so you can relate to it. And once you connect to the idea, you say, well, okay, that's true. You know, that's what happens.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, I think it's because of my age. Life experience. That's what gives. You know how many suction cups I bought that didn't work? Yeah, so that's how things work, you know. So everything has to kind of be. There's a reason for everything. So that's why you have to think along these lines, you know. So if everything is just taken for granted, just do it, then we really go through. You go through life like in a daze, but you have to build a certain amount of awareness when things happen, and then it's literally learning. You know, we just absorb all this information. We have to be like an infant, you know, just amazed that things are happening and there's light, and so then they keep evolving. I think maybe at a certain time in adults, you really don't pay attention to anything. It's just go through, and I think that happens, you know, at some of the stages of life when people become like bored. There's no reason to exist any longer. So as long as there's something to live for, you live for it. I think that's part of, you know. So everyone that comes to class, and there's only 2 of us and 3 of us here, we're the only ones that think there's something, and then the people watching, there must be something good going on. So anyways, so let's go from that point to, so you see what happens. You form the fist and you punch, and you draw back, and now even here you turn, and you turn. And then when you go like this, if you turn, and then push, then you have the mechanism, the mechanics for that.
Can you do that one more time, because I think it's the turning to
Yeah, so, okay, so we just finished, say, strum the lute, and we close the door, right? The next thing we do is we form the fist, and then we step up. Now, even from here to here as a step up, you see what my feet are doing, right? I'm going toe to heel, and I'm moving my hand. So that's the relationship. When you step up, you actually set up and coil so that you're twisting, and then you launch the punch, and then you come back. So the body is actually creating lots of different subtle motions. So here, when I turn, I'm here. So the reason why I turn a little bit this way and then turn a little bit this way is because this becomes a one-sided movement. Then I have to really turn much more. You see what I mean? Now if I'm here and I turn this way, then my turning is still there, but it's built in as sharing the two halves of the center line. In other words, if I go like this and I turn here, I brought my hand here in order to bring my hand here. So the efficiency of movement becomes much more efficient because you kind of blended the two. You know, it's sort of like stirring. If you just go in this direction, you only have half a circle. You have to go around to blend the two sides, and then you have a complete circle. Or you go this way, it doesn't do it, right? You have to go. So let's. Anything else? But you know, just that those concepts of what we just did for that is going to help you figure that out. So you have to practice it, just that a bit, and your body will start to, you know, work with it and figure it out. As long as you do it, and as long as it's in your consciousness, it'll be, you know, it'll be worked through because it's always in your mind. So then you just house that bit of information, and eventually it sorts out, then it gets digested, and your body starts to recognize that's what that is. And the more you practice, the more experiences you have with doing this, eventually it all starts to, you know, sort of like in a file, they start talking to each other. All the little, it says, oh, this is that like that. This is like that. You know, all the little guys up there talking to each other, and they're figuring it out. And pretty soon, you become a coordinated being.
So, all this stuff, is this all in your subconscious? So when you're doing it, are you actually not, you've been doing it so long, you just do it without thinking, and it's just subconscious
Yeah.
controlling?
So the programming is in your subconscious when you're doing the sequential thing. But the actions actually end up no longer up here. It's in your body. And those become reflexes. So in anything that we do, once it gets into that stage, like a reflex, it only happens between your spinal cord and your action. It no longer goes through this pathway because it's too slow. So if I were to intercept this, that becomes a feeling that actually no longer it's past it. It avoids this now. That's why things happen fast. You know, one of the things I use for analogy is like touching a stove or touching something you know you're going to get. As soon as you touch it, you pull back quickly because you know that something will get damaged. Sometimes the reflex isn't even fast enough. You will get burned depending on how hot it is. But because there's a sensation, you could trick someone thinking that's hot with a piece of ice, because the response is that there's such a so that's what a reflex is. And when you do this long enough, you actually, if something comes at you, your response will be a reflex action with a controlled motion that has structure.
Well, that's when you're engaged
Yeah.
with somebody.
Yeah.
Right? When you're actually fighting with
Yeah.
somebody. But when you're doing the form, let's say the long form.
Yeah. You still have a
Where are you then?
then it becomes a feeling of the motion and the intent of what's pieces of the arm you're working with. So if I go like this, the intent becomes like when you wipe a table or wipe anything, you know you have to put a little bit of pressure, and the pressure changes with the position. You can use your palm a little more to put more pressure. You might lean over to put more pressure depending on what you're trying to do. So when you're going through the motions, it's virtual. So the thing is, the pressure changes, but the joint positions, the body mechanics that's involved with doing that motion comes into play. So that's the consciousness and the intent of the motion. You know, if you want to, just like if you're squeezing something, then you know that this has to happen. So if I do a movement and I go like this, then that's recruiting that to feel like you're gripping. So when you form a fist, there's a gripping. So you feel, and you have to use the correct muscles in order to make that happen. So that's the feeling in the movement. And then you know that, or sinking the elbow. The sinking of the elbow is releasing in the shoulder. So sink the elbow, relax the shoulder. When you sink the elbow, your leg will actually feel sinking also, because the relationship of sinking becomes from the leg as your body descends, because gravity is acting on your body. Now gravity is acting on your body, but you have to release the tension in the joints in order for you to settle. And that even my foot, right? When I settle here, this settles here as a function of this leg relaxing.
I'm still, so you're thinking about all that while you're doing the long walk?
Actually, I'm not thinking of it. It's just happening.
Well, that's
Yeah.
fine.
So that's
What I thought.
yeah. So
It's
that's
just happening
yeah,
because
yeah. Because
you've been doing it
it's
so
it
long, and the muscle memory.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's all it's ingrained in your system, and it happens automatically. So that's where the difference is in the different players. The person that's been doing it longer, if they're aware that this is sinking the elbow, this is sinking the elbow, you go through this process and you develop that subconscious behavior along with the feeling of that movement. So that becomes part of your sensation, the heightened sensitivity in your position. So the heightened sensitivity in position means when you go into a posture and it doesn't feel right, or you feel like you're off balance and you're compensating, then you recognize that there's something. So then you fix it. You have to fix it and then go back into it again. Then you fix it again and fix it. And then eventually it just goes there because of repetition, the proprioception, and your reflex, your sensory system becomes engaged. But your body only knows how to be sensitive based on what it knows. But it really doesn't until you go through a certain amount of practice. But that practice becomes experience, and that experience becomes part of the discovery of what is going on to do that. So I mean, the same process happens with your work, everything that you do goes through that same order of things. So learning, experience, heighten, it becomes skill. Skill is knowledge, right? You look at skill as a physical thing, but knowledge is also a skill, and they all kind of go together. So I call it the physical side of learning. So the physical side of learning uses the same apparatus, but the thing is, you're fine-tuning the way it's working, and then it becomes, a way of thinking. Okay, so we'll go through the sequence again, like maybe the long, short or long. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay, ready? So we start off with preparation. And we go through beginning style, left and right side. And we move in and out. So grasp the sparrow's tail, right side happens here. And as you know, the long form only has the right side grasp the sparrow's tail. Hold the ball to diagonal flying. Shift the weight, step up and press. Shift your weight and raise the hand. Bend from the waist. Stork flaps wings. Turn, toe heel pivot. Brush knee 4 times. Sit back, go forward. Sit back, strum the lute. Close the door. Form the fist and punch. Divert, block, and punch. Leopard and tiger springs to mountain. Carry tiger to the mountain. Cross hands. Oblique brush knee, right side push. Left side. Set up for brush knee and push on the left side. 180-degree turn. Right side, grasp the sparrow's tail. Oblique position, so it's oblique, grasp the sparrow's tail. To the oblique single whip. Okay, turn, pivot to the other side. Fist under elbow. So after this, it just like before, repulse the monkey. Then one more, so there's 3 repulse the monkeys. It starts on the left, goes to the right, back to the left, and you finish. Neutral position. Carry tiger to the mountain with the twist. Lift up, open the stance. Squat down into the horse. Hold the ball, so there's spiraling, sinking, and creating that. Step up. Press forward, raise the hand, stork flap swings again, and then we're going to turn just like we did earlier to brush knee, but we're going to do it once. And then we sit back to insert needle. Step forward, fan through the back, turn. Stroke down, parry and punch the back fist, step backwards, retreat, divert, block, and punch. Step forward, grasp the sparrow's tail again. Single whip, always follows, grasp the sparrow's tail. Okay, the cloud hands. Single whip. And pivot. Okay, we'll do the kicks. First instep kick. It's high pat the horse. Toe out, left, right kick. Left kick. Fold. Kick. Sit back and turn. Down, fold. Left heel kick. Set up your right side brush knee and push. Sit back, go to your left side, brush knee and push. Okay, now we go back again and we're going to do the turn out brush knee and planting punch. Turn. Parry and punch. Step up. Same hand movements as the first kick, but it's going to lead us into beat the tiger. Okay, Go to the oblique corner. Stroke down, turn, 180, Jade Lady. Like a Jade Lady, but it's really beat the tiger once we make the fist. Then we turn to here, cross the wrists or forearm, level the shoulders, lift the knee, heel kick, 2 punches to the ear, cross the arms, sit back, flip it over, fold the elbows, open, turn, 1, 2, 3. Flip the hands over again, cross, fold, parting leg, parry and punch, form the fists, step up and repeat the sequence that we did earlier. Divert, block and punch. Cross the arms. Remember, turn a little bit this way, a little bit this way, and then forward. Carry tiger to the mountain again. Cross the arms. Now we do the obliques again, so it's a repeat. Get to the rear corner. We have a brush knee left with a right side grasp the sparrow's tail. And close. Hook your wrists. Now this could be an oblique, but we turn to the front because we have the reverse the ball here and the right side diagonal flying. Okay, then we go to pot the horse's mane. 5 times. Here's the first one. Second one, and then we're going to step up and do 1 left side movement, stroke down, pot the horse's mane. Then we're going to step up again. And we're going to go 2 more times. 1 and 2. Cross corner. 1, 2, forward, back, turn and lift. Sit back, pivot, pivot, cross step, step up again. Now you're on your right side, sit back, turn, and then we cap this corner off with a pot the horse's mane. And then we go into the other corner, so this is just like we just did. The left side Jade Lady work shuttle. And then we sit back to pivot, pivot, cross, step, forward, round out, sit back to vertical, raise the hand to Jade Lady, hook your wrists, grasp the sparrow's tail. Oh, sorry, yep. And then we turn toward the front. Now we're back to here. Now we do the second set of cloud hands. Here's 1, 2, 3. Okay, every set has 3 of those hand movements. And then we're going to turn, cover hand, snake sticks out tongue, pull down, step up to cross hand. Remember we were practicing this. And then step up and kick and poke. Withdraw the knee, reverse the stance, and the second set of repulse the monkey. Left side, right side. Left side. Then we're going to carry tiger to the mountain. Open the stance and hold the ball. Shift again. Shift again. So shifting is just relaxing the ankle and pushing weight over that supporting foot. Shift. step up, raise the hand, bend from the waist. This is repeating this series, which is brush knee, second insert the needle to the bottom of the C, and the second fan through the back. Now this is just like the Tai Chi Paradigm. We're going to turn, stroke down, parry and punch, and step forward. Form the fist, punch. Divert, block, and punch. Step up, grasp the sparrow's tail. Hook your wrists, and then we go to cloud hands again. We did the hold the ball, and once we get through this set of cloud hands, then we have the palm strikes face. Okay, now we're going to open the stance, pivot setup like we're doing the kicks, but we revert to this. That's palm strikes face. Turn, hold your hands like this. The right hand's going to hit that front foot. Go to your left side brush knee. So it's your left side, right? So once we get the left side brush knee, then we go to the right side, punch down to crotch, and then you step up to grasp the sparrow's tail again. There's forward, there's back, and there's forward. Then we hook the wrists. Then we're in the last single whip that doesn't have cloud hands. We're going to go to downward posture for the second time. Snake sticks out tongue, pull down, step up to 7-star, retreat, turn, hook, and step. Left palm strikes face again. Turn to change the hands. Double lotus. Okay, and then we draw bow to shoot tiger. Step up second time here. So it's just repeating what we just did in that short segment. Then we're going to turn to parry and punch. And then we step up the palm strikes face, high pat the horse, step up left, right, grasp the sparrow's tail for the last time, hook your wrist to single whip. Okay, now we're here, hold the ball, and closing. Then you step back and down. Okay, deep breathing. Inhale. So the footwork in Tai Chi is very unique in, compared to anything else, because any other activity you do, it's done kind of fast, right? If any other sport, any activity, you're on your feet, but you're moving. Something like this, where you slow it down, and you're doing in Kung Fu, whatever, you have a lot of stance work, footwork. So we do it, it's methodical in a sense that we have to pass through center, we're controlling our center of mass, and then there's a method to doing all of this. So if we're going forward in an empty stance, we set up our foot. So regardless of what we do with our hands, our feet essentially are doing a similar thing. You shift your weight and you toe out. So this is something you already do in the form, but then you pass through center to get to the next point. So whether you stop in the center or just pass through, you're just really getting 100% of your weight over that foot. Now, repulse the monkey, when you go backwards and you turn, you should still pass through your center and then find the rear position. Now, this movement where I'm stepping back and I'm touching down with the toe, and then when the heel goes down, my front knee goes forward. That kind of gives you that relationship. So when you go backwards, push your knee forward on the way down. See? So it's like this, right? Then when you shift your weight, you have to bring your body over this foot and then bring it. So it's like drawing a slight arc going backwards to get your feet in the right position. See what I mean? Yeah. So if we stood in here just to get the feeling of that, if I turn like this, and I turn like this, and I turn like this, you build that transition into your movement, just like you say, does it enter subconscious? So then that'll happen whenever, say, so even though it looks like you're stepping to the side, you're kind of stepping backwards in a single whip, right? When I go like this, I pass here, and I open, I'm really there. You see? So this action and this action is the same. So every time you step backwards or to the side, you want to still maintain the substantial leg, so that when you settle in that front leg, the back leg will go down. So that becomes a passive action.
What do you see us doing?
Okay, so you would be, okay, so you do this, or maybe forget to pivot the foot, and then you like this. So then the same thing happens when you don't pass through center, when you're doing the brushed knee. So because people aren't used to walking like that, most people when they walk, they kind of plop this foot down, plop this foot down, plop this foot down. And if you didn't walk like that, you'd probably never get to where you have to go, because it'd be too slow. But we practice it so that we can methodically come in, control our center, and go through the motion. But that's because we're doing a form. And if you're walking, you really, and I teach this in the next class, you don't walk from a shoulder width stance. You walk from maybe a 2-inch stance, because your center line is there, and when you walk, you have to shift less side to side so you don't waddle. And if you control your foot so your heel goes down and you roll over the front of the foot, then your movements in the walking will be softer. So, for fall prevention, improving your, agility of footwork comes from that. Because your legs become so nimble, just like your hands are nimble when you're doing things, because of the way they're wired. The legs are not wired exactly like that. They're really built for strength. But doesn't mean you can't create that wiring, but first you have to have a reason to do it. So the reason is to become agile on your feet and be, balanced and efficient. So.
After
Mm-hmm.
can you go through, I always get over here?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm getting there correct.
Yeah, so if you're in a 7-star position, the first thing you do is have to step backwards, right? So in this instance, when we step back, we don't have to straighten this foot yet. We just step back, plant this foot, and then enter here to take us to the other side. Now then we toe out here, and then we step up to get that foot forward. So the footwork, you're here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that's how we get there. And we're in a toe position. So we're in the 7-star, and we combine it with the hand. Move the feet, and then initiate the hands to get, because you want to be on the other side before you start moving your hands. You don't want to start moving your hands here. Yeah. So, yeah, so your hands will become part of the transition in the legs, and then you do this here. Yeah, because every direction is a new front. That's going to be a new front. Yeah, because when we're here, we don't really, after that's complete, we don't have that as a front, but we do have a transition that's going to take us, and then you start to blend, blend, and blend. Yeah. So slow. Yeah. Don't initiate the hands too early, but once you have the footwork, get it while you're beginning to turn. So, in other words, when we're here, the first thing we have to do is sink the elbow, and then when we turn, we start to open. See the hand here, and see the hand here. I created this position. So there's where the active and passive movement come in. So some of it is part of the turn, some of it is part of changing, setting up for the next phase. That's okay. So that's it. I guess it's 11 o'clock. That's another day. Hopefully they got a lot out of this. So it does help if there's some questions, and I don't know if they saw everything, but they could hear most of it.
It's a big help.
What's that?
It's a big help.
Yeah. All right. So see you next time.